Hey there, I'm Slaine and welcome back to my channel and Happy New Year. This is the first video of 2024. I have lots of fun things planned for this channel, so I am very much looking forward to seeing that all come to fruition. But I thought that we would start the new year by kind of talking about some things that have been on my mind the last month. I pre-filmed a lot, so I was done with my filming for the year in November. So really all throughout December, I just kind of had time to think. And so I got lots of videos coming your way. But these first two videos are really going to be focusing on what's been going on in my noggin lately. But today I wanted to talk about homemaking and having a desire to be a homemaker, but as if you've been watching my videos, I am single. So I hope that this video can be an encouragement to other single girls out there that have this desire to be a homemaker, but they don't really know how to proceed forward with their life if they have this desire to be in the home and to be a wife and to be a mother, but no husband is in the picture yet. So I am going to be giving you some tips that I have received from different people and just some pieces of advice and things that we can be working on as single girls with a desire to be a homemaker. So let's go ahead and get into this. My coffee is over there. Grab yourself a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or whatever you like to drink, and we will go ahead and get into this. So first, I think if you have a desire to be a homemaker and a wife and a mother, I think you probably have already thought about these things and are already thinking about these things. And these are things that I myself am going to be working on this year. All of these things I've kind of made a note on in my New Year's goals and resolutions. So these are things that I personally am going to be working on. So I hope that maybe I can give you an idea for my list. And if you have other tips that you want to share in the comments, definitely put them down there so other people can read them and so that I can read them. But I will start with it would be a good idea to learn skills that will benefit a future household. Now, for me, this looks like I still live with my family, my parents and my siblings, and so I feel like I get daily practice on this, which I am grateful for because I am growing in so many different skills that I wouldn't have grown in if I lived on my own, you know? So, you know, I can help. Right now I'm helping my parents, my mom and my dad. I help them with the house, and you know, that allows me to grow in different areas in my life. So it's gonna look different for different people in different circumstances. Like if you live with roommates and all of that, everything, it's gonna look a little bit different for you. But just learning skills that will benefit a future household, I think it's just good to get a head start on that. Just so that you can go into things a little bit more prepared. Now there's, I feel like, always going to be something that kind of comes your way that you're not, you know, really acquainted with, and that you are going to have to learn as those challenges come. But I think if we can go into it a little bit more prepared, that's a good idea. And even if you are a wife and homemaker right now, I'm not sure that you would be watching this video, but if you are, to prepare for starting a family, it might be good to really focus on learning some new skills so that once a baby comes into the picture, you are not trying to juggle, you know, learning to be a mother and learning different skills in the house. So some of these skills, I have kind of a big list here, so I hope I don't overwhelm you. But some of these are pretty standard, I feel like, but hopefully, again, you can get a good idea or something to focus on from this. I'm going to try and run through these pretty quickly, but I do have a good list here. So first, I think obviously learning to cook and learning to cook good, wholesome, nutritionally dense meals is a really good skill to have. Of course, we are going to need to feed a family. So I think if we learn to cook with, you know, good natural ingredients and, you know, really eating from nature, from God's creation, that is the best. And that is something I'm working on. I like to cook, but I mean, I like to bake and I like, you know, adding cheese to everything, and that is just not the most healthy. So I definitely have a good understanding on how to make a treat meal and you know, baked goods, but I need to grow in my understanding of cooking with cooking more healthy meals. So I think that's a really good skill to have, and I feel like a necessary one if you want to be a homemaker. And second, well, along with cooking, I would say learning to can and preserve and learning to make bread, all of those fun things. Those are great skills to have, and I really would like to get into canning and preserving. I feel like that one is definitely a skill that I would like to have in my arsenal. Second, cleaning, of course. We gotta keep the house clean and maintain the cleanness. Now that is one that I'm working on. And if my mom is watching this, she's like, you definitely need to work on that. But learning to clean the house and learning to make your own cleaning products, I feel like that is a really good skill to have, just so that you can have that extra peace of mind that you are cleaning your home with natural ingredients and that nothing is super toxic and all of that. So that is a good one to go along with cleaning. Third, goodness, learning to sew, just having some basic sewing techniques. I think that is really helpful and valuable. I feel like a lot of times we can just quickly throw things away or just donate a clothing item or a garment because it's torn and we don't know how to fix it. So it either ends up getting thrown away or just sitting at the back of our closet, which is a waste. So I think if we can have these basic skills to learn how to mend something and reattach a button, we can save a lot of money in the future and keep our clothes for a longer period of time and, you know, get good use out of them. Along with that, learning to crochet and knit. I feel like I personally crochet. I've been crocheting for like a year and a half now. And I want to get into knitting as well. But, you know, you can make washcloths, little towels and things like that, and just hats and different garments and things. So I feel like if you can make it yourself, that's even better. You don't have to go out. You don't have to rely on a store to get your garments and towels and linens and all of that. Well, linens you will want to go out and purchase unless you know how to make those yourself. That is a good skill. Let me tell you, if you know how to make linens and fabrics and all of that, I applaud you for that. Anyhow, yeah, just knowing how to make things yourself. Along with that, learning to make soaps, candles, toiletries, like face washes. I personally am like waiting to finish my face wash and try this face wash recipe, so I might let you know how that goes. But yeah, just learning how to make, you know, you can make face lotions, just things like that. Again, natural ingredients, just keeping things very simple, I feel like is a good way to go. And gardening is another good one. I feel like I definitely have an interest in growing my own food in the future. Now, I currently don't have the space to have this big garden and all of that. So what I'm doing now, if, you know, and this is a good tip, if you don't have the space or the materials or what have you to learn a certain skill, a good route to go might be just reading on that topic. So right now I'm just reading and studying and, you know, growing in my knowledge of plants and gardening and just getting book smart on that topic right now when I don't have the space and the means to have that hands-on experience. I think in the future, when and if I do get the opportunity to have a hands-on experience, it'll just be a little bit easier for me because I have some book knowledge on the subject. So that is a good tip. And this last one is to learn to love God with others. Now this one, I'll kind of go more in depth into. I feel like, I see with my mom, and just when I talk to and listen to other married women, they say when you are single, you have so much time that you can be spending reading your Bible and just in prayer and all that. And when you get married, there's just less of that. And especially when you have kids. But if you can learn how to love God with others, so if that looks like for me, learning to disciple children. I have younger siblings, so learning to show them and grow their knowledge in the Bible as well, and learning to come together as a family. Again, I live with my family, so growing in our knowledge of Christ together, that is a really good one to have. And just knowing how to be able to be there for someone and lead them spiritually, I think is a really good, again, skill to have. And just, learning how to love others and be able to love God with others as well, I think is so, so important. And I feel like one of the first things that we should all be learning to do. So yeah, learn to love God with others. So those were all of the skills that I wanted to kind of mention. If you have any others, definitely put them in the comments. But next thing I feel like is the big thing that kind of challenges me, and I feel like some other young girls that I have talked to, and just heard of on the internet, that have this desire to be a homemaker, but the world today is so, I feel like, career focused. I feel like, in your senior year of high school and you're just getting out of high school, people are always asking you, oh, what college are you going to? Or, what's your next step? What's your plan moving forward? And it can be hard to kind of settle on that. If you want to be a wife and a mother and you want to be a keeper of the home, you wouldn't really want to get into a lot of schooling debt if ultimately your dream is to be in the home and you won't use that degree in the future. So this is definitely a tough one to answer, and it's going to depend on every individual's interests and all of that. So one thing that I would keep in mind when kind of deciding which direction to move forward is to consider a job or career path that will transfer to the home. So whatever skills you are learning, that they can also be something that can help a future household. So that can look like, if you want to study teaching, you will be able to use those skills in the future with your own kids. You can school them and homeschool them, and you had some training with it. So I think that's a good one. But again, I think going to college, my parents and I have this belief that you should only go if you have a plan, and I think you should only go if it makes financial sense and you can get scholarships and do all of this just to bring down the debt, because it's not good to be in debt, obviously. So that is something to kind of keep in mind when you think about a job. And I am in my 20s and still not married or anything, so it definitely is tricky. Like, I really would like to be a homemaker, but for now, how am I going to make a living for myself, you know. So it's a tricky one, definitely. So that's definitely one you need to be in prayer about, and just really think about things and make sure that if you do go to college, it makes sense and that you are not getting into a whole bunch of debt that you will have to carry on with you. Next, I would definitely recommend, when you are getting to know a guy and you're going through the friendship stage and the courtship stage and all of that, be very clear on your desires to have a family, and especially your desires to be a homemaker. I feel like if you are just upfront with that from the beginning, it just saves a lot of headache in the future and a lot of feuding and debating on the topic. So if you're just clear with that from the beginning, it's just the best way to go. Be very clear with everything, you know, leave nothing to be a mystery and nothing swept under the rug. Just be very clear with your desires. And, you know, I think it's very important that he have the same desires for a family first and foremost, but if he also has a desire for you to be a homemaker and for you to be home and to keep the home and, you know, provide for the family in that way and be home with kids in the future, I think that is awesome as well. So definitely keep that in mind. And lastly, I would just say, don't compromise. And what I mean by this, obviously in a marriage and in life, compromises will have to be made. But what I'm saying is, don't compromise in the sense that you let a guy manipulate your thinking. There can be times, I am this type, that if I really like a guy, you can end up being swayed to think the way they do, to where your dreams and aspirations look very different from what you originally had in your mind. So let's say you have a very clear desire to have a family and you end up talking to this guy and you end up liking him and he doesn't really have a desire to have a family. If you continue talking to this guy, I feel like will end up being persuaded to his side a little bit. At least for me, I can be influenced, and so that's why I think it's very important to have a godly guy that you are looking to marry and that you are talking to and that you are asking the questions with, and definitely ask all the questions. So don't shy away from anything. And again, for my last point, just be very clear and be very firm with your beliefs and everything. So, and with the world as well, don't compromise your values for their values. The world's values now are just, they're not family focused. Let me just say, they don't value family as nearly as much as they used to. It's just so normalized to see divorce and broken families and, you know, pregnancies that so easily get ended and terminated, and, you know, children being robbed of their lives ultimately. So the world doesn't value family. So if you value family, I value family, I desire to have a family one day, I don't want to compromise and let a guy manipulate that belief. I stand very firm in that. I see the value of a family unit, and I desire to have a very strong marriage and to have a family and children of my own one day. So I don't want to let any guy or the world influence me in my thinking and in my beliefs of that. So just be strong in faith and know where your desires are and pray about them and surrender them to God as well. So anyhow, I hope that this video was a help and that we can all be working on these things. And again, if you have any other tips or anything else you want to add to this conversation in the comments, definitely let me know and put them down there, and other people will read them as well. But yeah, again, Happy New Year. I will be back next week with a single girl diaries video, so look forward to that one. It's another one that we're going to be discussing something else that has been on my mind. So anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and end it here, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.